Being skinny fat might be one of the unhealthiest body types of all, because we know that muscle mass will reduce your risk of all-cause mortality, and that's independent of body fat percentage. Remember, again, low muscle, high fat is more of a problem than high muscle, high fat. And we know this in the research. Muscle mass is directly correlated with longevity. Individuals with greater muscle mass have significantly lower risks of all-cause mortality. Strength training reduces your cardiovascular disease risk by 40%, cancer risk by 30%. In research, over 80,000 adults who engage in regular resistance training had substantially lower risk of metabolic disease, osteoporosis, and neurodegeneration. Thank you for joining this episode of Heal Thyself. To support the show, please rate, review, and subscribe. It gives us the opportunity to really expand this knowledge to people who need it most, and you can do your part by just sharing the love. Again, thank you for listening. I'm forever grateful, and I love you all. Let's get started. All right, everyone, welcome to Heal Thyself. Thank you for joining the show. Listen, we all want to live longer, right? We all want to live longer, but we also want to feel good living longer. We want a life of longevity, but we also want to thrive. And so I thought to myself, what show can I put together for the audience that gives people the opportunity to do the 5 things, the 5 evidence-based scientific ways proven to extend your life? And we have the data to back it up. I wanted to give this to all of you because we all deserve to live longer and feel good in those years that we're living longer and feel connected. And I wanted to make sure that these things aren't expensive interventions, it's things you can do. And my hope is that all of you who listen can start intervening some of these things or all of these things, especially if you have loved ones that you really want to live long and healthy for. And we're not talking about like generic health tips. These are true evidence-based interventions backed by meta-analyses, clinical trials, large-scale epidemiological studies that show you exactly how many years you can add to your life just by adopting them. The best part is that they're in your control, because genetics only accounts for about 20 to 30% of your lifespan. What's the rest determined by is how you live. So today we're breaking down the top 5 science-backed interventions to increase both your lifespan, how long you live, and your health span, how well you live. And trust me, some of these might actually surprise you. But let's dive in. The top 5 evidence-based ways to live longer and feel good living longer. So number 5 is strength training. It has an impact score of 7.5 out of 10. Okay. And muscle is not just for bodybuilders, it's for longevity. For many decades, cardiovascular exercise has been at the forefront of longevity, and we sort of forgot about muscles. And recent high-level studies are showing that muscle mass and strength may be just as, if not, or at least equally as important to live a long disease-free life. A 2022 meta-analysis, well-designed study in the British Journal of Sports Medicine found that just 30 to 60 minutes of strength training per week lowers the risk of early death by 10 to 17%. That's huge. There's no drug that does that, by the way, okay? Another longitudinal study in the Journal of Gerontology found that higher muscle mass was linked to a 20% lower risk for all-cause mortality. That means dying from anything. Independent body fat percentage, really important. So it's more important to have more muscle than it is to have body fat. Skinny fat is the biggest problem. So science is saying that muscle mass is directly correlated with longevity. Individuals with greater muscle mass have significantly lower risks of mortality. Let me see. Being skinny fat might be one of the unhealthiest body types of all, because we know that muscle mass will reduce your risk of all-cause mortality, and that's independent of body fat percentage. Remember, again, low muscle, high fat is more of a problem than high muscle, high fat. And we know this in the research. Muscle mass is directly correlated with longevity. Individuals with greater muscle mass have significantly lower risks of all-cause mortality. Strength training reduces your cardiovascular disease risk by 40%, cancer risk by 30%. In research, over 80,000 adults who engage in regular resistance training had substantially lower risk of metabolic disease, osteoporosis, and neurodegeneration. This is your year to feel your best, and I mean that really from the inside out. Our bodies have this incredible ability to renew themselves. But as we age, this process starts slowing down, and that is where I discovered something game-changing. MitoPure. What makes MitoPure special is it's the only clinically proven supplement that helps your cells clean out and renew themselves. The only one. It's like a reset button for your cellular health. And what really blew my mind is that people are seeing double-digit increases in muscle strength and endurance without changing their exercise routines. And I've seen it firsthand. I've been using this for quite a while now, actually. I use it every day. I took 2 this morning, and it's real results. Better energy, faster recovery, overall feeling really vital. I actually have a lot of energy. I feel like I have too much energy from taking it. It feels really, it's like one of the best supplements. I just showed it on my live the other day. It was right in my supplements to be taken in the morning. I was talking about it. This is a really touchstone product that I use. And it's really about becoming in this year the new you, right? That inner strength, the resiliency, the you who wants to be consistent. Yeah, it's there, right there for you. Work on your mitochondria. Timeline is offering you 33% off of your order of MitoPure while supplies last. Go to timeline.com/DRG33. That is timeline.com/DRG33. And as we kick off the new year, we focus on our health. And I want to talk about something that may be holding you back without you even knowing it, is a magnesium deficiency. You know, over 75% of Americans aren't even getting enough of this super crucial mineral. It's involved in over 600 biological interactions. Every part of your body needs, loves magnesium. And what makes this magnesium special, magnesium breakthrough, is that it has 7 different forms of magnesium. And this is really important for maximum absorption because not all magnesium forms do the same thing. You want a full spectrum one to support your sleep, weight loss, stress management, healthy blood sugar levels. These are all really key to having an overall feeling good in your body health. So if you're ready to transform your health, I want you to go to BiOptimizers.com/DRG. That is BiOptimizers.com/DRG. This is something that I've been using for so many years. It is a go-to. I recommend it for everyone. My family uses it. And the code is DRG10 for 10% off of any order. Strength training will extend your lifespan. It prevents something called sarcopenia. That's age-related muscle loss. After the age of 30, you're losing 3 to 8% of your muscle mass per decade. By the age of 60, boom, it's accelerated even more. It's increasing your risk of frailty, falls, fractures, and these are all contributors to mortality. Strength training is amazing because it actually preserves and even reverses this phenomenon of sarcopenia, right? So you have better functional independence, especially as you get older. Strength training and more muscle mass will improve insulin sensitivity. The more skeletal muscle you have, it's a large glucose storage site for the body. You got a lot of muscle, you have better blood sugar regulation, lower risk of type 2 diabetes, lower risk of metabolic syndrome that can really make you sick. And in 2021, a study in The Lancet found people with higher muscle strength had 40% reduced risk of developing diabetes over 10 years. Incredible. It releases something called myokines. These are anti-inflammatory proteins. Strength training triggers the release of myokines. These are proteins that actually are going to reduce all of your systemic inflammation. It's nearly the root cause of every chronic disease. Strength training will actually strengthen the bones, the joints, right? It's increasing the bone mineral density. It's lowering the risk of osteoporosis, which may not be a problem for you now, but I promise you will be something that your doctor talks about 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, okay? So these are linked to higher mortality in adults. Strength training is incredible. Putting on muscle is incredible because it elevates your cardiovascular and brain health. It's directly correlated with lower blood pressure, better circulation, improved brain function. It is the thing for better brain health. 2019 study in JAMA Neurology found that individuals with higher muscle mass had significantly lower risk of developing diseases of cognitive decline like Alzheimer's. So how do we apply it? Train 2 to 3 times per week, focus on compound movements, right? The squats, the deadlifts, the pull-ups, the push-ups of the world. Prioritize really progressing overload, meaning gradually increasing the weight over time. Get enough protein. We don't get enough protein. 1.2 to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. I even go a little bit more to support muscle maintenance. I can't emphasize this enough. If you haven't, prioritize strength training to do it starting today. I promise you, not only will you feel better, but you're setting yourself up for a longer, healthier life. Number 4, sleep quality and duration. It has a really high impact score. It makes a huge difference. It's an anti-aging hack. and it costs you nothing, right? We often think of sleeping as just like resting, but in reality, sleep is the most powerful regenerative process in the human body. No drug will ever come close. 2022 meta-analysis in the European Heart Journal found that sleeping 7 to 9 hours per night is linked to 24% lower risk in all-cause mortality. The impact of sleep deprivation is alarming. 2021 meta-analysis of 35 studies found that those who get less than 6 hours of sleep per night increase the risk of premature death by 12%. Poor sleep is going to raise your risk of Alzheimer's by 50%. And it increases cardiovascular disease by 38%. It's huge, right? And why does it extend lifespan? Well, one of the major things that we don't talk about enough is proper healthy sleep will activate your glymphatic system. It's your brain detoxification. During deep sleep, the brain's glymphatic system is clearing out toxins, including beta amyloid plaques. And these are the same plaques that are implicated in Alzheimer's disease. It's regulating your hormones, melatonin, growth hormone, cortisol. Growth hormone release during deep sleep is critical for tissue repair, immune function, and anti-aging. Poor sleep will disrupt insulin sensitivity, increase the risk of diabetes, metabolic dysfunction, right? It's going to reduce chronic inflammation, oxidative stress. We know that sleep deprivation will elevate a marker called C-reactive protein. This is a marker of inflammation, and it's directly linked to heart disease, cancer, neurodegeneration. We know when you get a good sleep, your immune system is booming. Studies show that just one night of poor sleep can reduce your immune cell activity by 70%. That's increasing your susceptibility to infections and diseases. So how do we apply better sleep? 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Stick to a very consistent wake time and sleep time. Get your circadian rhythm going. Limit blue light exposure, TVs, phones, 1 to 2 hours before bed. Go see the morning sun, afternoon sun, sunset. Get yourself some magnesium. Get yourself some glycine, chamomile sleep, whatever it is to improve your sleep. Number 3, bang for buck way to live a longer and healthier life is caloric restriction, fasting. Eating less might actually help you live more. Right? Eating less without malnutrition may slow down aging at a cellular level. We see this in science. It's now confirming what actually ancient traditions have practiced for a long time. Caloric restriction and fasting can actually trigger biological pathways to improve your longevity. Science is saying that caloric restriction on certain days, 10 to 20% of your calories, has been shown to actually extend your lifespan by up to 15 years. How is that possible? That's mind-blowing, right? And we see that in the Journal of Nature Aging in 2022. Intermittent fasting, right? Fasting for 16 hours, eating for 8, that window is associated with a 30% lower risk of all-cause mortality. We see that in the New England Journal of Medicine in 2019. And long-term fasting, 48 hours to 72 hours, triggers deep autophagy. It removes damaged cells, lowers the risk of cancer. We see that in Cell Metabolism in 2021. Studies in centenarians from blue zones show that individuals with the longest lifespans tend to practice actually mild caloric restriction throughout their lives. And fasting will extend your lifespan, but why? It reduces oxidative stress, reduces inflammation, right? When you eat excess calories, it increases the amount of reactive oxygen species in the body. It can damage DNA. It can accelerate aging. Caloric restriction will lower levels of inflammatory cytokines throughout the body, right? And those are ones like TNF alpha, interleukin 6, and you're reducing your risk of chronic disease. It activates the autophagy mechanism that I just mentioned, the cellular self-cleansing process. And it's the way of the body breaking down dysfunctional cells. And it's essential for preventing diseases like neurodegeneration, cancer, and metabolic disorders. It will boost your mitochondrial function. Fasting can actually enhance mitochondrial efficiency. It allows the cells to generate cleaner, more efficient energy. And more efficient energy in your mitochondria equals slower aging, higher energy levels, improved metabolic health, improved heart health, brain health. And it enhances your sensitivity to insulin, which is really a good thing. Overeating can lead to insulin resistance. And that's the precursor to type 2 diabetes, which causes every disease, right? It's a precursor to obesity. It's a precursor to cardiovascular disease. So fasting is actually going to improve your glucose regulation. It's going to reset your insulin sensitivity. It's going to lower the risk of metabolic disease. It increases longevity genes and stimulates longevity protein like sirtuins and AMPK. And these are longevity promoting proteins. And they're activated during fasting and caloric restriction. And when these genes are activated, they enhance DNA repair, mitochondrial function, cellular stress goes down, right? So how do you apply it? You can do an intermittent fast. Have a window where 12 to 16 hours a day, you're fasting, you're not eating. And then in the other window, you're eating. And you're eating nutrient-dense whole foods, right? Fasting doesn't mean malnutrition, right? You might want to do a prolonged fast once a week, once a month. Speak to your doctor, 48 hours to 72 hours, right? That's to maximize autophagy. Here, even just speaking about this, I'm really thinking to go back to doing it once a quarter, just like a 48-hour fast, maybe a 72-hour fast. Avoiding late night eating, huge. It disrupts metabolic health and your circadian rhythm. Number 2, social connection, huge impact score on your overall health. It is really, 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 really powerful. This is actually a better predictor of longevity than diet, exercise, or even sleep. That's crazy. Your relationships and your sense of purpose. The data on social connection is undeniable, right? People who have strong relationships, a powerful sense of purpose, longer, healthier lives, people who have strong relationships, who have a really good, grounded sense of purpose, live longer, healthier lives, period. Science says that actually strong social ties are linked to 50% lower risk of early death, right? People with a strong sense of purpose live up to 7 years longer versus those who have no purpose. And loneliness is increasing mortality risk just as much as smoking 15 cigarettes per day. It is huge. It is the thing that we're not talking about that needs to be talked about on the forefront. A 2022 study on centenarians in the world's blue zones, longest living people, found that social connection was a stronger predictor of longevity than physical health markers, right? It's relationships. So social connection is going to extend your lifespan because it's going to regulate really damaging hormones like cortisol. And it's going to elevate oxytocin. When you have social bonds, you're reducing chronic stress. You're reducing the drivers of inflammation and disease. You're feeling bonding. You're reducing your cardiovascular risk. You're improving your heart health. When we have good bonds, strong bonds, deep bonds, it lowers blood pressure. It reduces the risk of heart disease. We have better overall metabolic health. When you're in a healthy relationship, you're recovering faster from illness versus those who have really high levels of inflammation. You have better immune function. You're resilient, right? Your risk of infection or chronic disease goes down. It prevents cognitive decline. Actually, social engagement, talking, connecting, stimulates neuroplasticity. That keeps the brain sharp, lowering the risk of dementia. And we see that in a 2019 study. And JAMA Neurology found that people who have strong bonds and friendships have a 46% lower rate of Alzheimer's disease. It encourages healthy behaviors, of course. When you have close friends who are supportive, you're connecting with exercise. You're connecting with better eating. You're told to seek medical care when needed because people love you, right? So how do you apply this? Prioritize your relationships. Essential. If you haven't been a good friend, be a better friend. If you haven't been a good family member, be a better family member. Engage in meaningful conversations. Go deeper. Join community social clubs, social gatherings, volunteers, meetups, religious organization, whatever works for you. Find your purpose. Right? Find your purpose. Even if it's driven by activities like works, hobbies, mentoring, find your purpose. Your purpose you do when you're not paid anything and you would just do it because you love doing it and you want to give back to the world with your own unique gifts. Be present, put away your phone, cut away from social media. That is not real engagement. Go on a walk, be with people you love. And number 1, not surprising, cardiovascular impact. It has the highest impact score. It's the number 1 predictor of long, healthy life. This would be one of the biggest interventions, cardiovascular fitness. 2018 study in JAMA found that high cardiovascular fitness is the strongest predictor of all-cause mortality reduction, period. And in the science, we know VO2 max, if you haven't gotten your VO2 max checked or tested and you're 40, 50, 60 years old, check it and see you're at least average. You want to be higher than average, but it is the strongest predictor of lifespan. High cardiovascular fitness lowers your risk of mortality by 50%. 50%. It's massive. It's massive. 150 to 300 minutes of aerobic exercise per week will extend your life by 7 years. It's essential. It boosts mitochondrial function, cellular energy. You're providing more efficiency in your system. You're slowing aging. You have a stronger overall heart, lowering your blood pressure, better endothelial function, the lining of the blood vessels, reducing the risk of hypertension and heart disease, the number one killer, lowers systemic inflammation. You're reducing that CRP level. Remember I mentioned that? That's a key marker of inflammation. It's linked to cancer, Alzheimer's disease, metabolic disorders, better brain function, lowering your risk of dementia. When you're doing aerobic exercise, you're increasing BDNF. That's brain-derived neurotropic factor, and that's protecting you against neurodegeneration. How do you apply it? You do 150 to 300 minutes of moderate exercise weekly. You can cycle, you can run, you can swim. Find something and incorporate zone 2 training for mitochondrial health. You want to get to zone 2 with your heart rate. You can add HIIT workouts, but pay attention to your nervous system. If your nervous system doesn't want to do it and your body doesn't want to do it, don't do it, because you don't want to put your body in a stress state. But HIIT workouts are fantastic too. So look, longevity is we all want to live longer. We want to live longer, healthier, and we want to feel good in our body. It's in your control. You can start today, right? Even if you do one of these, you've already made a massive change. Imagine if you prioritize all 5 of them. Nothing should take up your time more than you feeling good in your body so you can show up for other people, okay? So implement these. I really, really hope they helped. I really hope they filled you up with information and knowledge. Share it with your dad, your mom, your auntie, your grandmother. I don't care who it is, but just share it, because everyone deserves to feel good in their body, live long, and live happy. Thank you for joining. If you haven't rate, review, or subscribed, please do so. I love you all. I'll see you next week.